Hi everyone, Mr. Hawkins with Hawkins Tech, and iOS 26 has been out for about a little over 1 month at this point. And while I'm not running the initial beta, and I don't know for sure if I'll be installing the public beta, however, I want to talk about, judging from the videos and the screenshots I've taken of the updates, what I think of the overall design of iOS 26. And I do have a lot of pictures and screenshots to show, but just to show you guys here, I am not running the beta. I'm on iOS 18.5, as I don't have another device to be stable on iOS 18, so I am running the stable version of iOS 18.5 on my iPhone 12. But the iOS 26 beta, it's a very great update. It brings liquid glass to more parts of the iPhone, and they've made several tweaks and enhancements to liquid glass on the iPhone. I believe in beta 2, they might have changed some things around. Trying to find pictures here. Whenever you go into apps such as music, you find that you have liquid glass. You scroll up in more places. See, you won't see it on here because I'm on iOS 18 and it won't show up on this version of software. But if we go into it here, you can see, or you don't see any liquid glass in this version. But if I have screenshots, let's see if I have any. Apple has made improvements to liquid glass. In beta 1, it was really noticeable, but then they've refined it, added a sort of blur around the control center. They added that in beta 2, and then in beta 3, they sort of removed the liquid glass and turned it into more of like a frosted glass. It's probably not as noticeable. I don't have a device to compare it with on iOS 18, as this device is running iOS 18. But they sort of turned the liquid glass into sort of a frosted glass in the iOS 26 beta. Let's see if I have, I do have screenshots. So we have liquid glass here on the left, and we have a frosted glass, but we still have outlines around some of the buttons. So I will say, though, I don't quite like that Apple has gotten rid of some of the liquid glass. I would like for them to go back to the liquid glass. The frosted glass looks more like iOS 18. I do not really like that they got rid of that, and I hope they go back to the liquid glass. Although it's much lighter than iOS 18. You can't really see through the toolbar here on dark mode, but you can, it's a little more lighter in iOS 26, but I would still like for Apple to go towards or back to liquid glass. They have changed the control center. In beta 2, they added a blur around it. Whenever you access the control center, it gets dark. It makes any background apps or wallpapers darker. It adds a dark field behind the control center. I've noticed that in the pictures and videos of iOS 26. Now, one of my favorite things that they did was something I've been wanting them to do ever since I heard that iOS 26 would be having floating floating tab bars and different things was in Safari. With the early betas of iOS 15 back in 2021, Apple redesigned Safari. And initially, they gave Safari a bottom tab bar. Then it had the floating tab bar as well. So in beta 1 up until beta 6, I believe, or beta 5 from the videos, iOS 15 went to this tab bar where it got rid of the floating tab bar. But then in iOS 26, they brought that back. And they even brought back a version of this tab bar, except it's floating, which you can see here. The skin at the bottom of the tab bar, which has your tab switcher, bookmarks, share, back or forward and back buttons, is floating, whereas in iOS 18, it's edge to edge. So basically, they brought back the floating tab bar in iOS 26, which is something that I really loved. Another one of my favorite features that is in iOS 26 is we have new wallpapers in the third initial beta. New wallpapers. I made a separate video showing these wallpapers off. If you guys want to see that video, here it is on my channel. iOS 26 new wallpapers. I did a separate video talking about the new wallpapers. But just in case if you don't know, and I am using one of the iOS 26 wallpapers. I downloaded it from the internet, saved it to my photos, and I never got rid of this lock screen as I really like this wallpaper. And this is the iOS 26 Sky wallpaper. They named all of them. So before this, the wallpaper was just the wallpaper. It never had a name. Well, now in iOS 26 Beta 3, they made changes. And the first one is the shadow wallpaper. This is what it looks like in light mode or dark mode. And then here is what it looks like in light mode. Then we have the sky wallpaper. And this is it in dark mode. And here it is again in light mode. We also have the halo wallpaper, which is in dark mode. Here's the version in light mode. The dusk wallpaper in dark mode, and there it is in light mode. So we have about probably 4 new wallpapers. The sky, shadow, sky, halo. We have shadow, sky, halo, and dusk. So we have 4 new wallpapers. Well, really 3, because the sky wallpaper has been there throughout the 2 initial betas, but it now has a name in iOS 26. Another thing that I like that they made in iOS 26, they updated the camera. So if I go to the camera screenshot here, I don't know how easy it would be able to tell in the screenshot, but you have your white shutter button and your different options on the bottom of the button. If I go into the camera app here, and I do have it dark in my office here, but you can see we have all of our options at the top. Whereas in iOS 26, and now you can see there the Craft app sort of refreshed on me here. It's using some RAM issues on this device. But we can see here we have the options at the bottom. Photos gets an update, which I know people are going to love this because they never liked it, the Photos app in iOS 18. We have our toolbar at the bottom and we scroll up for different things. However, in iOS 26, if you want to access your different menus, you can press that as a separate button. It's now one page like it was in iOS 17. If you want to see your account, you press the button to the right of the blue button here. Let me see if I can find a better image of it. That's sort of the same image, but you can then swipe up. And I believe that button, I'm not exactly sure what it's called, but it might be called Albums. I can't quite tell from looking at this screenshot as the word is a little bit blurry. But you can press that button and I believe it will take you to your account and all of your other different things. So they have updated the Photos app in iOS 26. They've made changes to this app. Now we also have backgrounds in iMessage, but I'm not going to go into any of my iMessage contacts as I still have to figure out how to work the blur effect in CapCut. Until I figure that out, I'm not going to go into any of my iMessage numbers. I don't want to show them on video. But we now have updated backgrounds. You can have backgrounds within iMessage. Personally, this is something that I cannot wait to try out. It is a great feature in iOS 26. We also have a new games preview, and I believe it's another app as well. We have a games and a preview app. Oh, and the phone app coming to iPad. And speaking of iPad, iPad OS 26 also has features that I want to mention. And you don't really notice too much from iOS 26. You do get liquid glass and all that stuff, but I'm not going to go into iOS 26's features. I'm going to mainly go into the ones on the iPad because everything in iOS 26 is coming to iPad. Liquid glass, all of its refinements, everything. It's coming to iPad OS 26. But there are some distinct features in iPad OS 26 that specifically makes this version of software overall my favorite iPad OS version ever. More than any iPad OS version because of one specific feature. In iPad OS 26, all iPads get this feature. We now get windowing support on iPad. Finally, every iPad gets it that runs iPad OS 26. I use an iPad Air 4th generation from 2020, and that iPad can't get Stage Manager. Well, now every iPad is getting some version of Stage Manager. They're getting the new windowing in iPad OS 26. And that's not the only thing. Your iPad is turning into a Mac with these traffic light buttons. We're getting the full windowing support on iPad. Maybe not the external monitor support, but we are for sure getting the full windowing support on iPad OS 26. That alone is just, without a doubt, one of my favorite features, and that is something that I am extremely looking forward to and cannot wait to show you guys on this iPad. The only reason why I have not installed the beta is pretty much the same reason as my iPhone. I use this device for one to edit my videos, and I need it to be on a stable version of software. And a beta will compromise that. But if I had another iPad to run on iPad OS 18, I would instantly install the beta on this device so that I can show it to you guys for a video. And that's not the only thing. The phone app is also available on the iPad as well. In iPad OS 26, we now get the phone app, along with the preview app, the games app, and we also get the journal app on the iPad as well. So we get a lot of nice enhancements, a lot of nice features for iPad OS 26, liquid glass, and all of the different features. And I am just super excited for this iOS version. So those are some of my favorite features in iPad OS 26, or iOS 26 rather. But it's for both iPad OS 26 and iOS 26. Those are my favorite features. For the iPhone, we get liquid glass and a lot of other features. And we get the windowing support on the iPad. And it has now been a month since that software has gotten released. And the public beta is expected tomorrow. We can see the public beta tomorrow on Monday, July 14th. Now, I did say I would install that beta, but at this point, it really comes down to, if you see me unbox another iPhone on my channel, that's most likely the iPhone I've gotten, the 14, to stay on iOS 18, and then this phone will be getting upgraded to the beta, the iOS 26 beta. However, if that doesn't happen, then I might wait till September and install the public release. Although, admittingly, there's a part of me that might install beta 8 or the release candidate, as I think that's more stable than any other beta out there. But just to be on the safe side of things, I might wait fully until the release date of the software like I do year over year. I've did it for iOS 18 and every other iOS version and install the public release. But I will still keep you guys posted on the public beta, make videos on it, update you guys with what's new in the public beta, as well as iOS 18.6 as well. I'm Mr. Hawkins with Hawkins Tech. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on TikTok. And I'll see you guys later.